Hello,
And
everybody.
we are live. Ultra Podcast, the episode 94 and a half. It's a lovely April 15th weekend. Today's tax day, isn't it? Or it would be in a normal world. Um,
In the normal world, but I think some people are getting their what do you call it? The stimulus checks, right?
yeah. Um,
Did you get your stimulus check, Prog Frog? Hell no. Okay.
but this is a nice chill episode. I mentioned on Saturday's podcast, which is another half episode that we've been trying to schedule some more chill ones in between that were slightly off topic, even though all of our podcasts have been off topic recently. And by off topic, I mean this one's on topic, but for the past like fucking 5 weeks, our topic has been the quarantine. So let's we'll cover it a bit because I feel like I have to ask Matt some things. But first of all, I'm Manuel, leader of AG Connections, always here as always. Konara won't be joining us tonight. But Jasmine might, and we're gonna hopefully hope that she does. But Konaru is sleeping, I think, or something. She was on last night, so she's dead. But joining me today is Matt. Go introduce.
Hi, I'm Matt, MMGC, lead singer of the band T-Gom, and I also am author of two new podcasts, the Extreme Eclectic podcast on Sprecher, and I'm also the host of The Final Front Line, which is a sci-fi story that's also going to be on Sprecher. And have you listened to it yet, Prog Frog? Nope. See, don't be like him. This is the mascot of the SoCal Prog Rock Band's page. This is Prog Frog. Say hi. What's up? So Prog Frog, do you know anything about Matsui Jurina? I think I saw her once on that movie where she dies. Yeah, whatever. So
What movie where she dies?
I think there was like Death Cash, and there was also like Crow's Blood. I don't know.
Oh, I forgot about Crow's Blood. Wasn't Crow's Blood on Hulu of all things? I think. But
Or
yeah.
no, it was on Netflix.
Oh, was it on
even.
Netflix? It might have been on. Yeah, it was on a streaming service that was accessible. Is what I'm getting at. Um, but yeah, in case you don't know, tonight we're going to be covering. First of all, chat is open. Go ahead and chat and chat. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for continuing to watch us during all this. Look forward to more chill episodes. If this isn't your cup of tea, then keep tuning in because we're going to keep throwing things at you until this quarantine's over just to fill our time because a lot of us are very, very bored at home. And we want to help alleviate anyone else's boredom. But yeah, we're going to cover a few idle topics, but interestingly enough, it's not our traditional idle topics. We're not going to cover the alt titles in Japan. We're not going to cover the morning musumes of the world. We kind of will cover AKB48 though, but we're going to cover mainly Jurina, talk about some wrestling stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of Chinese stuff, C-pop, Mando pop, actually. Mando pop to be more accurate. If you want
I'm so new to it too. New to it.
It's weird because it's blowing up like crazy, and I actually have some stuff to talk about later on when it comes to like iQiyi and Tencent, how they've been like taking over the world, like literally, and people are kind of sleeping on it and not noticing. But we'll get there. But we're going to talk about that. SNH48 of all people have had a crazy ass comeback lately. I mean, they've been building up for a couple years, but we're talking about a group that was like canceling their side groups like 2-3 years ago.
It's
So,
like different versions of SNH48, right? There's like SNH48, and then there's like something
well, STAR48 is the company behind it. Is like the parent company. Like AKB48. Well, they used to have AKS was their parent company, but now it's Veno lost them or whatever. But yeah, it's a STAR48's their parent company. Fun fact: I was talking to somebody about this on a different stream I do. By the way, I do similar to Matt. I do other almost secret podcasts and streams. I just don't publicize them as much. But I was mentioning it on there in the way it's written in like the way SNH48 and STAR48 is written when they spell it out in Chinese. It's actually 48, not 48. And you could easily add the 48, like to the name, but for some reason it's 48, and it blows my mind.
48.
Yeah, because it's like it's the. I mean, it sounds a lot different in English. I mean, it sounds very similar in English, but it's so unusual to know that they're actually not SNH48. They're not
But
Star 48. It's SNH48, like
what's the
Siva,
group?
huh?
Manuel, what's the group where in SNH48 where the girls changed the name of the group to like, and they're doing more like Western style pop, and it's more like it's less.
Are you talking about like
J-pop
Seven
based.
Senses or something like that? Seven Senses is like the most popular one.
That's what. Yeah, and some of them were on. Was it like four of the members of Seven Senses are on Youth with You?
Yep.
Those are the good ones, right?
Yeah, because to be fair, Seven Senses is the cream of the crop of SNH48. But SNH48 is a really awesome. By the way, even though I just explained the 48 thing to everyone, and I see somebody in the chat mentioning it, I'm still gonna say 48 because it's a force of habit. But if you get into certain fandom circles, all fandoms have those fans. They'll probably call you out on the fact that you're saying 48 and not 48. So yeah. Anyway, that's another story. But
They're all semantics.
semantics are always the bane of everyone. I think we'll actually close by talking about some quarantine updates to chilly wrap up. So let's just jump into our big topics. First one we'll talk about, since we're already talking about them a bit, is we'll start actually about SNH48. I can't spell. SNH48 and STAR 48
And are we going
resurgence.
to kind of talk about Youth with You in general?
Oh yeah, we're going to circle back around there, but maybe I'll school you a bit because I think you're a bit more versed on youth for you. It's Youth for You, right?
Yeah, Youth for You, and I'm just on episode 6, so I'm not all caught up. But it's such a weird show because you're talking about like the rise of Tencent. I wonder how much money they paid Lisa to be on there, because it's the first time I've ever seen a show where one of the judges doesn't speak the language of the show. Like,
Oh yeah, but for those who don't know, like we'll circle back. We'll talk a bit more about youth for you. I've been calling it Youth with You this entire time, and nobody,
yeah.
and no, and I don't mean just with you. I mean like in other shows and other things I've been in, and nobody has corrected me, and I'm kind of upset now because I just realized it totally is Youth for You, not Youth with You. But I've been calling it Youth with You for like weeks. Mind you, I know what it's called, and I've been watching. I watched it when it first started, and I was following it before. But for those who don't know, that's another survival show. It's like American Idol type show. They're forming they're forming a 9-member group, and one of the is she a judge or is she a trainee? I forget exactly. I don't remember the exact.
She's a judge.
One of the judges is I meant to say she's from Blackpink, right?
Yeah, Lisa from Blackpink.
There you go. Okay, because I'm not gonna lie, my K-pop knowledge is very, very minimal. Well, actually, it's not minimal. It's very surface level. It's not minimal. 'Cause I actually know like quite a bit about some groups and names and the big songs, but I don't.
There's not too much to know. It's just it's Lisa from Blackpink, and well, here's one thing to know: she doesn't speak Chinese. She only speaks Thai and English. So
I didn't know she speaks Thai, but yeah.
Yeah. So she either speaks Thai or English on the show, and I've never seen that where one of the judges on the show doesn't speak the language of the show. It's kind of like if you got, Charlie Sheen's the first like celeb off the. If you got Charlie Sheen to judge a show in Germany, just like out of nowhere, like you pay all this money to fly a big celebrity from another country and to judge your show, and that's like. It's such a trip. I've never seen that before.
I want to say that might be a bit more common in like some of the Chinese survival shows, or in like by the way, I keep using that term, but that's a term that they usually use just to like I'm trying to be a bit more authentic because I always after the whole Youth with You thing, I keep saying I'm trying to recover.
Youth for You.
Yeah. Youth for You.
Look on my computer just to see if I'm
yeah.
or not
I'm not
wrong.
gonna lie. Hold on, both of us need to do this because I'm pretty sure you're right though.
No, it says Youth with you, not for you.
Oh, I was right. Damn it, Matt! I was right. You're right.
Yeah, Youth with You. We are right. I'm on episode. See, I still have it queued up to the area I'm on. I'm in the middle of episode like 5.2. And all the songs, like I looked for some of the songs, and they're actually, some of them are original compositions by some of the girls on the show.
And
So I
some of
think
them
it's
are
cool.
also, if you're a big fan of like Chinese pop in general, there's a lot of covers. And
Mhm.
I didn't know this when I was posting them, but I was kind of accidentally like posting some recent covers they done on the show on my Facebook page, like like casually, without realizing it. I was like, I forgot that Joyce Chu song. I posted it there, and I'm like, oh wait, that was on Youth with You like 3 weeks ago, but I hadn't
That
watched it.
R&B song, I
Huh?
couldn't believe. I had no idea. Like I don't even know where to start. But like I'll hear a song that's really good on the show, and this is basically my gateway drug to C pop or Mando pop.
Yeah. Um. Also, we should mention the elephant in the room. It's kind of a interesting thing talking about C-pop, Mando pop, Chinese pop during all this this stuff, and
Well, they shot the show before
they
the
did.
outbreak.
They shot the
Yeah.
show long before, because all these, well, okay, not all these shows. Obviously, American Idol's more concurrent, but a lot of these shows are meant to like air. It's like a reality show. So like by the time they pick the winner, that's when like the first episodes would almost start airing, and they kind of just go into hiding. They're training or whatever for their debut when it's all done. Um,
Manuel, quick question though. This is something everybody's going to be wondering, since it's in the country where the coronavirus started. Has anybody on the show been affected by it?
no, I don't want to. Uh,
We have to do the research. We have to find out. Like
no,
I'm kind of
as far as
wondering
I
now.
know, I don't want to jump into conspiracy theories here. For those, okay, actually, let me back up. Let me back up totally. What I was trying to say earlier, and my fault, I didn't finish my own thought. Is I've been trying to include more Chinese pop things into both the podcast and A to J in general, because believe it or not, that's actually kind of like more my specialty, my knowledge base. I have a lot of friends in China. I know a lot of performers in China. Slime robot, Slimer robot. I don't remember your name. Sorry, I can't read your name. Slimline robot. Sorry, Slimline robot. By the way, who are you? Nice to meet you. I don't know if I've ever seen you in the chat before. Maybe you're a
Well,
different.
say hi, Pog. What's up,
Yeah.
Slime Robot?
A lot of my K-pop knowledge is actually through because I really follow the Odotomita scene. And if you don't know do you know what Odotomita is? It's basically when people do dance covers.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
it's a Japanese word, but
okay.
but they still use the same word. Like well, it's not the exact same word, but they still use that term in China as well. Um, and
Really?
yeah,
So, in the Japanese word in
yeah.
China.
If you said Orotomita, maybe like pronounce it like like a little in the Chinese way, they'll know what you mean. There is its own word for it as well, but Orotomita is kind of like people use it here in the U.S. So it's kind of a universal term.
Really?
Yeah, it means watch me dance, like pretty much directly. But I'm really big into. Well, I'm not big in the scene, but I'm really big into like following the scene. I'm actually friends with a few the Chinese Otomita dancers, and that's actually where I get a lot of my K-pop knowledge. I'm like, oh, I hear all the new songs through them, and I pretty much live on Bilibili, which is like the sort of the Japanese. I mean, the Japanese. Sorry, it's sort of the Chinese equivalent to not so much YouTube, but more like Showroom, kind of like Showroom and YouTube together, or not Showroom.
Okay.
I meant Nico Nico Doga. That's what I'm thinking about. Not Showroom. It's more like Nico Nico Doga and YouTube together, because it has all the Nico Nico kind of live stream elements, including like the comments that scroll across the video, but it's very very YouTube like. Um,
It has elements of a little bit of both, pretty much.
yeah. Um, but yeah.
But like,
So
there's no word of any of the contestants.
I'd like to change this youth with you. Hold on. Go ahead.
I gotta look that up. Like after this is over, just to see did anybody die from
Oh
that show?
no, that's actually what I was getting at. Like, I don't mean to laugh at that. By the way, sorry, I apologize.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, I apologize. That's my bad.
They come back to life. The zombies. No.
No. Also, I want to reiterate, because I tend to chuckle a lot. So like, keep in mind if I ever joke about something like that, I'm trying not. I don't mean it. But I actually did some like asking around recently. For those who don't know, most of China, I think all of China, to be honest, I'll say most because I don't really know specifically, has come out of their quarantine phase. They've gone to work. They're still masked. They're still pretty masked up, and all that kind of taking precautions. But they're back to work, and I'm not gonna jump too hard. Like, okay, I'll say this now because it's also the elephant in the room. Just because I love China, I love China, I love the Chinese people. I'm not gonna say the CCP is like not is good. So don't at me on that in case you're watching this and somebody wants to talk about that. That's the one time I'll say that. But but going back, I did some asking around, and as far as I know, nobody I know and nobody from that show, thankfully, even caught the virus.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It seemed like I don't want to toe the Chinese line because this is a controversial opinion, but it seems like they kind of got it down and they nipped it in the bud really early. The one slightly good thing about having an authoritarian regime, and I'm not actually I shouldn't have said it that way, but I already said it, is that when you do a lockdown, you can enforce. Yes, you can enforce the lockdown. Because people.
Meanwhile, in the U.S., everybody's going to the beach.
Yeah. So I'm not. I totally worded that badly. Someone will take it out of context and hate me. I'm treading on terrible water here, but since Matt brought it up, I felt like I should mention it. And it's funny because I mentioned it last night on a different podcast, on a not idle podcast. I mentioned that like I've been asking around, and thankfully nobody I know in China even had it. But I know a lot of people here who have it. Thankfully, fingers crossed, nobody I know is passed away from it. But anyways, let's move on.
Yeah. Do you want to continue with Youth With You, or do you?
Yeah,
want
we're talking
to
about Youth With You. So Youth With You is a survival show that one of the things they've been doing is that they've been arranging popular songs. Like they'll take a song, like I mentioned the Joyce Chu one, which is I can't remember the name of it. It's a really cool song. I'll have a link to it in the description below if you're on YouTube, because I'll find it by then. And they would not record, but they would perform like a rock version of it, a pop version of it, an acoustic version of it.
They did the Billie Eilish song.
Yeah.
That's like that's the only Western. I don't know what other Western songs they've done on the show. Like I said, I'm only on episode 5.2, but please, it's definitely worth a watch while. No, okay. Here's one observation I didn't make about Produce 101 China and Youth With You. You know how commercials and advertisements, like, you don't know if you're watching the reality show or you're watching a commercial because they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's
well,
the commercials, like the product placement's like, man, I feel so bad, Joey Chu. What do I do? And then like, I don't know, baby. What should we do? Hey, we got the yogurt drinks, and then it just comes over. I'm like, wait a minute, it's a commercial.
No, because it reminds me of like, you ever seen Wayne's World, where they're all like, we'll never shell out to corporate sponsorships.
That's literally how it is.
That's literally how it is, because like suddenly like the camera pans and like the product's there, and they're all shilling it like out of nowhere.
I'm brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
A lot of these shows are also branded. Like they have branded segments. They're like, even though we don't say it usually when we talk about them after the fact, the shows themselves are branded and so on. We should also mention this is on the iQiyi platform, which is it's dubbed the Netflix of China. That's where you can watch this show. Well, you can watch on the YouTube channels, I mean to say, but they do have their own site and their own service.
Well, it's like IQ. What was it? IQY. I'm gonna look it up.
Depending on who you talk to, there's a million ways to pronounce it. The way I've always heard it pronounced, like within like most Chinese people, is like iQiyi, which is probably the more accurate Chinese-y way to pronounce it. But I've heard ICE. I've heard
IQIY, but what was that?
If you ever watch like Business Insider or something like that, they always call it IQY or whatever. I'm like, why do you call it that? But yeah.
Did you notice this with the names of all the girls on the show, that like her name will be like Sharon Chen or Susan Chen, but then they'll say like Shu or Wang, and it's like it won't match the name that's on the screen.
Oh yeah, for those who don't know, I've actually had this talk with uh, people like in the past, not just like on these podcasts. A lot of times, let me find a good example. A lot of times, actually not even a lot of times, pretty much always, Chinese names are kind of hard to for a Westerner to wrap their head around a lot of times. So what they'll do is they'll adopt um, an English name, and the English name doesn't actually have to even correspond with their Chinese name all that well. Um, I'm trying to find a good example. Yeah, here's one.
There was the
Oh,
moment on that show where Lisa was like, Shu. I'm like, we're both Shu. Wait a minute, that's different? Yeah, our name is both Shu, but my shoe is different from her shoe. I'm like, what? So that was like a I just got to that moment on the show because Lisa was like, how do I communicate?
yeah, a really good example is because everyone knows Jackie Chan and his actual he's Kanto, by the way, just to clarify, for the people who might notice that he's not Mando, but his name is Chan Kong Song is his proper name, so to say.
Hmm.
When you guys get brought out by China, when you guys get bought out by China, I'm not gonna lie. Now going, we're kind of all over the place here, but I wanted to mention the iQiyi platform a lot because they actually made waves a few years back because now they're publicly traded on the stock exchange. I think within the U.S. Um, and there's stuff like Youth with You that's trying to like expand like their presence in English speaking markets. Um, which is insane. They're all subtitled, right? Do you know if they're subtitled by the by? I mean,
Almost all the shows on the YouTube channel are subtitled, so I
yeah,
think that's gonna be like one of the things. I'm gonna check out some of the other shows on there because I think
yeah,
they have some dramas and other reality shows. I don't know what other Japanese reality shows are like. Like, what are the variety shows like? Do they also
Chinese,
like
but yeah,
well,
you said Japanese, Chinese one.
so Chinese? Dang, see,
I mean, I said it
on.
too. I said it too earlier. So it's force of habit more than anything. We're not being closetly racist. It's just force of habit. Sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm on autopilot right now
Same.
too, because I'm studying Japanese right now, so that's kind of why.
For the record, I actually am. I don't want to like toot my own horn and say that I'm crazy, crazy fluent, but I know a decent amount of Chinese, and I try to watch Chinese stuff without subtitles, which is why I was asking is how the subtitle quality is on Youth with You, um, and I'll have links
Well,
to all the things.
sometimes they've messed up with like because I think the teleprompter guy probably is just kind of like behind. Like they probably do it in live time because one time they were doing a performance and they had the names of like the other girls while a girl was performing solo and like
Oh,
yeah, I think the teleprompter guy was a little bit like I don't know maybe like a little bit slow because like it said Marco Lin, but yet at the same time it was like a different person performing. So
but yeah, so um, I don't know. They're trying, but iQiyi is like not only are they the Netflix of China, they actually have like partnerships with Netflix in China. And if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. Probably don't quote me on this. I think they have like their partnership. I believe that they also release a lot of like things with like video game companies as well. And I know that's more like Tencent's area. For those, actually, we've both mentioned Tencent like a few times. For those who don't know, I've said this like many podcasts over the past year or so. Mark my words, Tencent will be a company that, if not this year, definitely next year, everyone's gonna be talking about how it's taking over the world, and everyone's gonna act like they never heard of it, even though it's been there like front and center. Um,
it's gonna be Tencent versus Facebook, kind of.
No, it's
You know.
insane. For those who don't know, Tencent's like, first of all, they're the biggest video game company in the world, like, period. And you might be like, oh, well, they're just doing mobile games, they're just doing whatever. And they are, but they own Riot Games, so they own Fortnite. Um, so like, just throwing it out there, like all the millions of people who play Fortnite on YouTube, all the other Twitch streamers out there getting like thousands and thousands of views playing Fortnite right now. Fucking Ninja on whatever his platform. I forgot, he moved from Twitch. I forgot where he's on now. But fucking Ninja or whatever, they're all paying into the Tencent, conglomerate machine, and that's just video games. Um, I believe the animation, though, I skipped it earlier, but SNH48 have the anime out now, and it's being done by Tencent Animation. And
Really?
yes,
Now I've got something to watch when I get
yeah,
home.
I believe,
I am home.
yeah,
After this, I'm gonna watch.
the first episode came out last week, I want to say, and the second one comes out this week. I think it might already be out. I'll have links to all this, a bunch of random shit in the comments if you want to look it up. If you want to stop, but I'm like, oh, what? Watch the fucking SNH anime, and it's kind of. I keep wanting to say it's like iKatsu if anyone's a fan of idol anime, but it really isn't. I don't know why I keep making that comparison. Don't quote me on that. I keep saying
Well,
that.
I think prep myself for it. Like Manuel, here's my game plan. I'm gonna watch like a short. If there's like a biography on like just the basics on the girls of like who are the major players of SNH? Like who's their Sakura? Who's their Jurina? Who's their who's their equivalent to each member? Who's their Jessica? Who's their Tiffany?
No, I'll actually come back around to that. I'll wrap up Tencent with this. Everyone talks about the whole Blizzard fiasco when Blizzard was all like, "Oh, apologizing about the China thing or whatever," and was giving them all that bunch of bullshit. Tencent has a stake in Blizzard. They don't own Blizzard, but Tencent has a stake in Blizzard. They have a stake in everything. They also run the Bilibili app. They run the Weibo app, and I want to say the WeChat one too, but definitely Weibo and Bilibili.
WeChat's a major one.
Yeah,
I know people use that to pay for stuff over there.
Well, I have all three of those. They keep deleting my Bilibili account because you're not supposed to have one outside of China. But I have all those. I have accounts in all those services. They also, believe it or not, they either own or have a stake in Discord. So the platform we're using, which is a long way for me to finally get to this point, the platform is in me and Matt this second, and that A to J always uses for this podcast, is partially funded through Tencent, and we're feeding into that machine on this podcast. So Slimeline Robot, when you mentioned about how Tencent's going to buy us out one day, they kind of already have. I mean, I'm still going to say what I'm going to say. For the record, I don't think they're a horrible company. They're kind of like the EA of the world, the Sony of the world. They're just big and faceless. They're no better or worse than any other big company.
And then they own your house. Like,
yeah. But mark my words, Tencent's going to be this company that and people are already talking about it, but just not too publicly. Like, I guess not in the wider world. So if you're within Asia, you've heard of Tencent. I mean, if you do any business within Asia, I meant to say, you've heard of Tencent. Or no joke, from this day forward, pay more attention to the credits of anime you watch, because they do in between work on Japanese animation as well. They do a lot of drama, so just pay attention from here on if you've never heard of them, and you'll be like, oh shit, Tencent, they're everywhere. And yeah, but going back to go ahead.
Are we going back to Youth with You? Who do you think are the major players on that show at the moment? Because I haven't really caught on to who's their Somi, who's their Kang Daniel, who's their let me see, who are their heavy hitters? Who's their Zhang Wanyang?
It's funny actually. I pulled up let me try to find it again. I pulled up a list on them, and I saw their rankings. And similar to Produce 101 and similar to Produce 48, I really don't think that some of the girls are going to make it through because of other contractual reasons. So I can't pull up the list. Oh my god! For some reason, my thing went open. But I don't remember names. Sorry, I'm bad. I'm bad with names. Yeah, I'm bad with names in the best of times, and I'm also bad with Chinese names. I haven't personally I don't want to say memorized, but that I've said repeatedly.
Just name two people.
I'm trying. Hold on. I don't want to just name the random people I know. I want to name the people I know are going to be good. We'll come back. Oh, why is there a podcast playing? Hold on. Oh, I'm watching it on the fucking Discord. I wonder if this thing was kind of hold on. Youth with You. But similarly, like I was saying, I don't think this show is this isn't. I don't. Okay, here goes. Esther is the prime one to win the show. Who's one of them I like the least? Um,
Esther, I think I've seen her. Yeah, I think I remember.
Esther Yu is the one that is probably Esther and Kiki. Kiki's okay. A friend of mine loves Kiki. I don't like either of them, and they're the two that are kind of like primed for a lot of goodness.
Who was the short-haired girl who like she was wearing like a white shirt and it was like she was like really good at singing and dancing and she has really short hair and like an ear and like a lot of earrings and she's kind of like they have a lot of tomboys on the show this year time around and they
Yeah,
also have
for the
they,
record, the
and they have
tomboy
the
thing
girl
is
with the afro. They
the
also have
tomboy
that girl
thing
with
is
the
it's kind of
afro.
it's kind of it's kind of a it's kind of a trend in a lot of these groups. I feel like you don't see it a lot in like some of the other audition competition groups, competition shows. There were a lot of them in Produce 101 China as well. Produce China, whatever that show was called. Um,
Who's
but I think you're talking
I forgot.
about
There was a girl with the
Fran.
afro. Oh, she's really good.
Fran, I
She's
believe, is the one who you're talking about with the really short hair, and the one with the afro is Yu Jong. Is
Yeah,
the one with the afro.
she's. I've never seen that before on the show. That's awesome. I kind
Yeah.
of want to. I want to see what she's gonna be up to later on. Because
Um.
there was a dude on the because I watched the unit and there was a guy on that show with dreads and there was another dude with a shaved head.
But yeah,
So that was,
and there's Kay Lu, who's another one of the tomboy ones that looks like. I mean, like, what is gender? I'm not gonna go too far into that, but she
yeah.
looks like a
But
boy. So
there was a
yeah,
tomboy who was just by themselves and she
yeah.
had the all white outfit and she was super epic. I want to see what she's like because there's so many people on that show that could just do well solo, and then the girls from Seven Sense, they'd be successful with or without it, you know. Because I haven't heard that much of the rock. Well, I know the rock girls are probably still big right now, but like, what have they been up to since their show?
They've been just releasing singles left and right,
Mhm.
but they haven't really like. I mean, don't get me wrong. They definitely like their songs have been great, but I don't think they've done anything as hit worthy as Calorie, in my opinion. And Calorie was
I like
kind of, huh?
I like the blast off the we want to make it go. That one was like
But
I
but
don't know.
But like anything in Asia, Calorie had the added bonus that it was actually the theme for a movie. So
Really.
yeah, so for those who don't know, Rocket Girls 101 is the group that came out of Produce China 101 the first season. The second season
Featuring two members of Cosmic Girls.
featuring, I think, well, one member, I won't say two, but one member for sure of SING, who's one of the biggest idol groups in China. It's spelled like it looks like Sing, but you're supposed to pronounce it SING. I guess similar to 48. You're supposed to pronounce it 48, not 48. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, they're SING. Sing in Passion Net Girls Net Generation. I forget what it's anyways. SING. But Rocket Girls was the group that formed out of there, and they also have a couple. Well, they have one for sure tomboy member who's like tomboy all the time in the group, but they also had a few during their competition as well. I
Sunny,
want to say Sunny. You said Sunny, right? Yeah,
yeah, Sunny.
Sunny's the tomboy member.
Her and Amber would be like such a sick like collaboration. I know she could speak English too. I think.
Well, a few of them could actually. I mean, fun fact, of course, like China and China doesn't have as much like the hang-ups with some pronunciation keys like you get in Japan because there's not really so much of a phonetic alphabet. There is Bupomofo, which is like similar to katakana, but like pronunciation is not tied to it. Like you don't get the L and R thing as common. You still get it, but it's not as crazy, and some of the other syllables are more easily visible in Chinese. My point is, a lot of Chinese people do speak English. To be honest, most of the world like kind of speaks English, except for like the U.S. is like the one country where it's almost acceptable to only know one language and that's it. So
Yeah, that's why I'm using. That's why I'm using this quarantine to like
yeah,
learn as much as I can. This is the best time to learn a second language, everybody.
yep.
Don't you, frog? Yeah,
Learn Chinese is actually like not to jump to this like when you mentioned it. Learn Chinese if you can. It's a hard
go
language to
study.
learn, but once you get into it, it's actually there's no real tenses in it. Like a verb is a verb always. There's not really like past, present, and future tenses. There's just markers that denote whether something happened or is happening.
Zheng's eye. Zengzai right now. It's happening, Zengzai.
Yeah. Also, there's a certain like word. I mean, this exists in English too. There's a certain word order. Like there's a certain structure that every Chinese sentence has, and once you know the language, everything just plugs into it. It's hard to explain if you don't know it, but English is like that too. Like if you start speaking like Yoda, it sounds weird because we have a way
And
the
well,
sentences
here's
always
this
go.
joke real quickly. Well, not joke, but it's like, did you know that English actually has words that where you need intonation? Did you know that intonation matters in English? Oh, really?
Oh, oh, oh! Is that your joke? Oh, really? Uh,
Oh, really?
speaking of,
Does intonation matter in English? It does.
does it? We're gonna keep doing
Does
this.
it?
We're gonna keep doing this until we annoy everyone watching. Um, also,
It's like there's like a whole that's just like sarcasm or whatever.
yeah. Speaking
That's
of
just
intonation, there's actually a lot of tones in Chinese. Well, there's not a lot of tones. There's 4 tones in Chinese. Actually, there's 5 tones in Chinese. There's like the no tone. There's the rising, the rise and the fall, and the. Anyways, the 1, 2, 3. Anyways, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's no tone, and it is kind of a hard language to learn on that front. But most people forgive you if you just like no tone it, like be a bad foreigner. But it is what it is. Anyways, learn Chinese, learn Japanese, learn a language, learn Spanish,
learn
learn
Japanese.
German. Who
Not all that
cares?
time to learn it right
Yeah.
now. Um,
Um.
you have learning new things and venturing into new activities. Do you want to jump on Jurina?
Yes, let's jump on Jurina. Let's jump on Jurina. Get canceled. But yeah, let's move on to Jurina. We're gonna leave the C-pop stuff behind for a minute. I'm surprised we filled up a lot of time there. I think because we had the deviation with Tencent and everything like that. But yeah, Youth with You. To close it off, Youth with You. You can watch it on the iQiyi platform on their website, but it's all on YouTube. It's all subbed. I'll have links to it below.
Along with other shows on YouTube
Yeah.
on the
It's a really cool show. And honestly, like even though they have songs like they had that Billie Eilish song and they have some other like non Chinese pop songs.
they have original songs.
Yeah, they have original songs as well. But it's also a good way to learn a few of the big Chinese pop hits. And I've been thinking about making a Chinese pop like playlist because a lot of people ask me like, what are some of the big Chinese songs? And everyone assumes that they're gonna sound like all with a traditional Chinese sound. But there's all sorts of like different things going on in Chinese music. I mentioned to a friend on a different podcast that there's a really big trend to get to use ukuleles. In like in Chinese pop music, which is kind of unusual, at least to me. I actually have one of the bigger ukulele brands is a brand called Enya, and here's my Enya ukulele that I
Is it a baritone or is it just a regular?
it's a concert.
Well,
It's a soprano, but it is a concert soprano, so it is bigger, which is why you notice it's it's way big. Mainly because I can't play a standard soprano because I have like giant ass hands. It's like it'll never work. But yeah, this is a concert soprano.
Baritone.
It's like 22. It's 23 inches, something like that. But
You can play mandolin. You could tune it to mandolin tuning and play like violin and mandolin on it.
yeah.
So
To be honest, like fun fact, I'll just throw that out there. That's actually what I've been doing in my free time. Is I've been learning to play ukulele, which is simple because I do know how to play guitar and bass and stuff like that. So I play bass way better than I play guitar though. So it's not like I'm just learning
I've
an
actually
instrument for the first time.
recommended you to other bands before. I'm like,
Yeah.
Matt, you play bass players. I'm like, here you go.
But yeah, I've been picking up the ukulele. I'm like, I have the free time, and a friend of mine recommended me that model, so I picked it up. It's the Enya brand, but it's one of their like lower. No, it's not lower end. It's one of their mid tier models. Because I'm like, do I go all out, with like a $500 ukulele, or do I cheap out and get a $50 one? So I got like 100 and
You gotta come to NAM with me next year.
for sure. I mean, like this year, I forgot what happened, but I got sick. I think. Funny enough, I got sick a lot this year, but that's a.
Oh, yeah.
I
I could have gotten you in for free.
You
And
did get me in for free. I actually felt. You gave me the thing for a free badge and everything. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't go, and I regret it. I didn't see Aldius. We interviewed them. We interviewed them outside of the NAM, but I didn't. I didn't go. I regret it, believe me, and I especially regret it because all this happened like almost like within weeks afterwards. So my one good chance to go out like at a convention, which is a different kind of convention, but still a convention. My last good chance to go to a convention.
You get a lot of free stuff there.
Yeah,
you get a lot of special, and you actually get like legit connections out of NAM.
Enya was there for those. But yeah, anyways, so let's move on to Jurina. Sorry, I just wanted to. I wanted to have my deviation about ukuleles.
So, Jurina, here are all the different things that the different options. I want to list them all out.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, for those who don't know, Jurina is all about Jurina. Let me just look this up. For those who don't know, Jurina is a. Well, I think she's still kind of currently a member of SK48 because I think her graduation has been kind of postponed because of this. Or did she already leave? I don't remember. But she announced graduation in February, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe before that. Okay.
Just real quick, you can keep talking.
Okay, so I don't know why I stopped talking. I should have kept going anyway. So Jurina is a member of SK48 and was a member of AKB48 as well. She was one of the most popular members. She won the Senbatsu, which is like the general election of the most popular members in 2018, which was the last year they had it. And she was also a participant in Produce 48, which was the collaboration between AKB48 and Produce 101.
And within the first 2 or 3 episodes, she was number 1.
Yeah, she would have won for sure. It was her between her and Sakura were kind of like fighting it out, but she would have won.
One of the theories was I think they couldn't AKB48 couldn't afford to lose her.
Yeah, which is funny because they kind of lost her anyway because she was so overworked. I actually took notes on her. Believe it or not, this podcast was supposed to just be a Jurina podcast a long time ago. Remember that? When we were first...
Oh, yeah.
So it was originally just a Jurina podcast, so I actually took a lot of notes on Jurina. I totally forgot I had them until I thought about it right now.
Well, let me list off everything that she could do, possibly, because the list is... But here's every single thing she could do.
Okay, I'll take notes because I have because some of the stuff you mentioned, I have some things to like talk about. But go ahead. And by the way, we're talking about what'll happen with her afterwards. She's she's kind of like the current ace of AKB48. She's still really young. So we're discussing about what she can do after her career. So let's go on to that.
And the thing is,
within her career,
the things that she could do could affect the entertainment industry of the world globally.
Yeah,
because she could really go so many different places, not just musically, but in the world and career-wise, and on the planet Earth. So, Jurina, I'm just listing single thing she could do. I'm not going to go into detail yet. We'll break them down like one by one, whichever one. I'll let you pick which one to break down. Here's every single thing. So, Jurina, she could do commentary for one. It was like one. It's called One MMA. They're a company that she's doing commentary for. She's doing something with them. She could do acting in Japan. She could do acting in Korea. She could do acting in the United States. She could do music as a solo artist in Korea. She could do music with group in Korea. She could do music with a new group in Japan. She could do music solo in Japan. She could do music with a group in the United States. She could do music solo in the United States. She could do theater in those 3 countries. She could do... There's the new company of AEW. She's good friends with Kenny Omega. She could go over there and either be color commentary, a wrestler, or manager on that show. She could join Stardom, which is a Japanese girls promotion featuring Hana Kimura, who was on Terrace House. She could be on New Japan Pro Wrestling, like she's already been at the pay-per-view as the special ambassador for Wrestle Kingdom. So she could be like a manager on that show. And that's everything I've listed so far. So which one do you want to jump on first?
Well, let's talk about her doing wrestling or commentary, because first of all, one of the things that I was going to discuss, like when I started looking up Jurina, and I've already known this wasn't like news to me, but I wanted to compile, because for those who don't know, because I made the joke earlier, kind of a bad joke, because she does have health issues, but I made the joke earlier that she dropped out of Produce 48. Everyone pretty much assumes they couldn't lose her, and it's funny because she dropped out, but then she pretty much dropped out of Aki-P as well because she won Senbatsu, which is the I told you the general election. But during
Mhm.
that show, she collapsed during the concert that happens before it. Um, she had to be like carried away. She was there. Was she? I don't even know if she was there when she. Yeah, she was there. She was there when they won, but I think she was. But she wasn't there when they recorded the single or did the MV. There was a very awkward thing where they had her like they had a like an MMD, like one of those model like the 3D models dancing in her place. It would look so awkward and bad.
Well,
Um,
they also had like just sketches of her, and then they
yeah,
reshot the video with her.
Yeah, they refilmed
Later
it like
on.
months later. Like, well, I think they refilmed it almost right away, but they didn't release it until about 2, 3 months later. But so, I do remember that things had happened to her before. But when I was looking up her past health like issues, they pretty much started from the second she joined, and they never stopped. Like, she's a pretty sickly girl, from what I gather. Um,
Really, with her being like all into like fitness and MMA.
well,
And some people are saying she might start doing MMA, like
well,
not
first
just not doing commentary. She might actually fight.
she joined SKE when she was 11, and she was part of their first 11, by the way, when she and she was one of their first members in Team S, and I want to say that was 2008 or 9. I don't have the year here, sorry. It was definitely around then. It was definitely before 2010. I want to say 2009. We'll say 2009 just to be safe. So she's in her early 20s now, but in 2009 for sure. They had a concert at Saitama Super Arena, and Jurina had to leave the stage because she felt really dizzy through anemia, and like she was overworked, and that was like within either her first year or maybe a little over a year of working. um and and apparently, like, from then on, there have been all sorts of talks about her constantly dealing with this. She's apparently like a crazy like overworker, and like her fans call her out on this. And she's always like collapsing. She's always getting dizzy. She always is like suffering from anemia. Um,
Work, like you mean workaholic.
yeah, and apparently Aki-P, who's the producer of AKB48, even has told her a couple times like, "Hey, take a break. You're cool. You take a break." And she
I
never, she
forgot
never, she never
there was
has.
actually one I forgot to list because it's good that you mentioned Aki-P, that she actually wants to step into the producer role.
Yeah.
Where
So I went to bring in all of her health things up, because I don't know if she's able to wrestle. But then again, like, let's be real here. We've all seen wrestlers, more so in the male spectrum, but we've all seen wrestlers who aren't necessarily in their peak physical health, and she definitely is in good physical health. She's just like, I don't know if that's the right word.
they,
Um,
I mean, Manuel, they have a wrestler. Of course, you know about Roman Reigns and his leukemia. So
yeah.
he's a recovering leukemia survivor, and he was actually supposed to wrestle at WrestleMania, but because of COVID-19, he's at risk of he's more vulnerable to it.
Oh.
So that's why they switched him out with a different opponent for that wrestling match, because it was supposed to be him and another wrestler, but he had to switch out with somebody else. So I don't know. I don't know what Jurina's health is though. Like I'm pretty sure they're keeping it under wraps. Like what conditions or
No,
illnesses
from
she
what I
has.
gather, it's literally just anemia and overwork. Like, if she has anything, then they're really good at keeping it covered. But then again, that is the Japanese way.
She's
Um,
not Franklin Roosevelt, like straight up. You know, they're not Franklin Roosevelting Jurina.
no,
Uh,
yeah. I really doubt they could have hit it for this long.
yeah, like imagine you see Jurina and she's got like an exoskeleton. You know, like
Um,
just
get
robotic.
SS. Somebody wandered in the Spanish speaking comment. I apologize. Ben Crack 15. What a lovely name. I'm hoping that KSS though might be a joke because I don't speak Spanish. But we're talking about Jurina and SK. We're just going on about her what she could be doing in her future career. Now, speaking of her solo career, her solo music
Okay,
career,
because she has put out a solo
that's
album.
what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. She already technically has a solo career because she put out an album last year, which is called Privacy. I actually listened to it. I didn't even know about. Okay, let me rephrase that. I knew it was happening last year, and then it totally fell off my radar. I was still following Jurina, but it totally fell off my radar. And then when this, believe it or not, a month ago, when this podcast topic was first coming up, I was once again doing research on it, and I came across. I decided to go like dig up Privacy, listen to it, give it a listen. It's pretty good, and not only that, but she wrote all the lyrics on it.
It's full of. I actually did some screenshots of it because she references Kenny Omega in it.
Oh.
She references Hiroshi Tanahashi, and she references Shinsuke Nakamura. Like she has like a lyric where it says goodbye and good night, and then which is Kenny Omega's catchphrase. He usually says it at like the end of pay-per-views or at the end of his promos, you know. So she added goodbye to one of her songs, and it's worth listening. I haven't heard some of the songs yet. I think I've heard snippets, but her solo album's pretty good. What do you think are the possibilities of releasing a solo album in Korean? Or because like she was able to get really popular as a result of Produce 48.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, first of all, to answer the thing about the group, I doubt she'll ever be in a group again. There's obviously the more safety.
You don't think she's gonna do Takahashi Juri thing? Like she's not gonna copy, like, because it worked pretty well with Juri, but I don't know what she's like. Jurina is so big that I guess she doesn't need a group, is what I'm thinking for K-pop, the K-pop world.
Well, it's not even so much I feel, by the way, hello Franklin 504. Do I know you? Actually know a Franklin. I don't know if you're the Franklin I know. That's why I'm kind of confused. What's up though? That said, it's not that I don't think she needs a group. It's just that I just don't see her in one. And it feels like too much work when she already has like a decently established solo career. Not decently established, but she has an album, and she's proven that she can write lyrics. Maybe we'll see a Korean version of Privacy, which might be tied up between like with the Japanese management, whatever that is. But who knows? Maybe we could see that. I would love to see that. I don't know if like a Korean language album. Like, do you know how good her Korean is?
Are you glitching up on your end?
No, can you not hear me? Sorry. Is that better? Let me close this thing. I had another thing open. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, but no, you weren't glitching up on my end. I don't know what happened there, but like I was saying, like I don't know how good her Korean is. I'm not sure about a Korean language album. But then again, we have people like Yuri Mikami who tossed one out with Honey Popcorn, who was also an SKE member, was she not? For those who don't know who Yuri Mikami is, she was a former SKE member who went into JAV, aka the adult entertainment industry in Japan. And
I heard about that, yeah, because I think we talked about it, and I said I think my comment on it was there's so many members of the AKB system, the 48 system, is that like if they would have an adult member, I also wouldn't be surprised, because like out of 600 girls, of course there should be, just on the rule of statistics, there should be like one girl porn. Then there should also, but also based on that same the theory of statistics, Manuel, I think there should also be, we're also going to see a girl nun.
A girl become a nun?
Also, yeah, because of statistics, like if you get 700 people, one person would like is bound to get cancer, one person's bound to live to 100 years old, one person's bound to do porn, and then another person's bound to become a nun, do the complete opposite. You know, you have so much variation within 600 different people. So I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. It's a lot of people.
We still have some time, and I'm pretty sure there's more than. Is there 600 within the AKB family? I feel like there's a lot more.
In the 48, and then there's people graduating and joining like constantly. So I'm like, I don't think like she's not going to be the last porn star out of the system, and she's not going to be, and there's going to be a nun pretty soon.
And just to clarify, by the way, for people who might be tuning in right now, we're talking about Yu and Mikami, not Jurina. I don't think she'll become a porn star at all, for starters. But
who do you think any member of the AKB system is going to become a 48 system is going to become a nun? I'm pretty sure, because
not so much a nun. There are like, well, I guess it's still a nunnery. There are like
Manuel, okay, because the MNL 48, they're all Filipino, right?
Yeah.
They're mostly Roman Catholic, and Sheki won the Senbatsu for MNL 48. when she won, she made the sign of the cross. When
Oh
she
shit.
when Yeah, she made the like you could watch the video. It's the first Senbatsu for MNL48, and she made the sign of the cross when she did it. So she's gonna be like the nun.
Well, MNL
48.
48's a little odd. Um,
It's the only Roman Cat. I think it's the only Roman Catholic. It's the only mostly Roman Catholic, mostly Christian.
it's the only openly well, I guess JKT has its openly religious moments as well, but
Yeah, there's a lot of members who are Muslim.
yeah, but MNL, I've never. I remember when I was watching, because we actually, believe it or not, I don't know if you were. I don't think you were. You were definitely not on the podcast at all during this. But actually, let me write in MNL48 real fast. MNL48 diversion, because we'll come back to Jurina. Don't worry. But
No, Jurina. It's related because Jurina made a visit to MNL48. There's a video of her visiting them, and everybody like go nuts.
oh shit!
So
I didn't know about
do
that.
something in the Philippines. Who knows?
We actually used to cover MNL48 when they first were forming, and we used to cover them week to week, and then we did this for about gosh, I don't want to say how many months. It got to the point when we're like, when is this gonna end? Like, they haven't picked anyone. It's been like months we've been talking about this, so we just stopped covering it. But I remember watching that. I think it was on. I forgot what the show was called, or whatever the show where they vote for the members. It was kind of a shit show. There was a point when they didn't know who idols were. They didn't know what idols were. I mean to say, they couldn't name idols. They're like, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Japanese idols. And they're like, oh, name some. I mean, they weren't being like mean. They were just like, oh, can you tell us some of your favorites? And they were like, well, I don't know names. It was really embarrassing. But my point of bringing it up is a lot of times when they would do their segments, well, like, are you Filipino?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I believe you're Filipino. I just wanted to ask before I kept going with this. So, do you know Tagalog, or do you know it at all?
I know some words of Tagalog.
Well, Tagalog is an interesting language whenever I hear it, because almost always, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm not ragging on the language, but whenever you hear Tagalog, to me, there's always it starts with an English sentence, and then it just
because we don't have words for everything.
Yeah.
I think one of the things with Tagalog is that we don't have Tagalog words for every single word.
Yeah.
So every fourth or fifth word is going to be English.
So every so often I listen to it, and I could kind of, I'm almost like, I think they're talking about this, but a lot of times
you could watch it without subtitles and know what they're talking about.
And then a lot of the rest of it sounds kind of like Spanish, so we can kind of fill in some holes. But
yeah, you don't have to watch Filipino shows with subtitles, because you're gonna get an idea of what they're talking about.
Yeah, but
also the more high class Filipinos prefer to use more English than Tagalog.
Oh,
the real.
No, because a lot of times their speeches would start with thank you, everyone. I'm so and so from MNL48. I hope to be the shining star of MNL48. And then, yeah, exactly. Then the rest of it just and then it just stops from there. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened? And it throws me for a loop. But the whole reason I bring this up is that almost every girl, or every other girl, I should say, to be more accurate with the numbers, would thank God, would say God bless you, or thank you to God, and I'm like, whoa,
because there's an Indian branch of the 48 groups too. So
yeah,
we're actually going to have, because they've got Hindu members.
Yeah,
too. We got Hindu, Muslim, and Christian. I think I kind of want to see an Israeli 48 group now. I kind of want to see what that.
Well, I'm already
a Jewish 48 girl group. I like Israel, Jerusalem 48, or Tel Aviv.
I doubt. Yeah, I was Tel Aviv. If I don't know. I don't know where it would be, but I doubt we get Israel. I mean, well, we'll see. But
Jerusalem 48.
I doubt that for a lot of reasons. But
Tel Aviv 48.
I forget if it's Delhi or Mumbai, which is where they're doing the
Indian one.
Yeah, because one of them they tried and it failed, and the second one, I forget which one's the active one. I want to say it's Mumbai.
It's Mumbai.
Yeah, it's Mum 48.
I think it's MUM 48.
Yeah. Well, yeah, MUM. I said Mum. You don't pronounce them. You say them by each thing. It's MUM 48. But
yeah.
But yeah. It just always threw me for a loop, and how there would be so much thanking God and mentioning God during MNL48's speeches. And
yeah, because all those girls are Roman Catholic.
Yeah, it just threw me for a loop. It just like I was like, whoa, and
So with all those girls in there, one of them's bound to become a nun. So
well,
I wonder how
that I believe. I mean, like that not I believe that I don't believe anything else, but that I'm not even going to question. There are way less MNL48 members than the Aki-P members. But even with a smaller pool of people, I assure you that is definitely going to happen as well. One of them will become a nun.
Manuel, what's the name of the 48 member who became an adult film star?
There's actually several, but Yua Mikami is the one we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so Yua Mikami, I wonder how well she's going to get along with the MNL 48 member who becomes a nun. I want to see. I want to make a reality show of those two and see how well they get along.
It's funny you bring that up because, well, let's close off that segment real fast right now because I don't want people to. But moving back to SKE, Jurina, and Yua Mikami. That's a weird. But it's actually funny you mentioned that because Yua Mikami, we mentioned, she was into K-pop. Well, she's both into K-pop and she had a K-pop group called Honey Popcorn, which is still around, by the way.
Yeah, and it's her and two other people, and I think they're purposely trying to keep her off TV and everything.
Yes, there was actually a huge anti-movement for Honey Popcorn in Korea. And it's kind of sad. For the record,
like, why would you go out of, like, I guess because we're Americans, so it's like, why would you go out of your way just to,
the problem, okay, to play devil's advocate, which, by the way, I wouldn't shame anyone. I wouldn't shame anyone for like doing sex work, but to play devil's advocate, porn is illegal in South Korea.
Yeah, very true. And then they usually use VPNs to watch it.
But technically, that's a crime. Like, you could technically be arrested for it. Or fined. I don't know if you get sent to jail, but it's a crime. It's definitely some sort of offense.
And marijuana is also legal, and many things that are considered liberal in our society and regular are very.
So and I remember when this happened, when the Honey Popcorn thing was first starting, it was kind of misreported that she was quitting porn to do Honey Popcorn, but that was not the case.
So she's co-opting. She's got a little money on the side,
which is also fine. I'm not calling her out on that. But the fact that she was actively doing porn and trying to have and not just do pop music again, but to do K-pop in South Korea.
Manuel, sorry to interrupt again, but I want to sing this lyric real quickly. If I call you a trick, it's because you pay rent, and as long as you don't call after 6, there won't be no problems. Walk with me now.
What lyric's that?
It's like this one song by Anderson .Paak where it's like, when I call you a trick, that's because you pay rent, and as long as you don't call after 6, there won't be no problems. So that's like it's cool that you be tricking. I'm chill with that. So you and Mikami, if you're watching this, if I call you trick, it's because you pay rent.
Oh, let's not get canceled. Cancel Matt 2020. Matt, MGC Matt is over party.
I got respect for you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because you pay.
Yeah, obviously, for the record, like I'm sure we're on the same page here. All jokes aside, neither of us are trying to shame you and Mikami for doing this. It's like it is what it is.
We're building her up. We're like we're defending her. We're defending her for.
I mean, I defended her at the time. But my whole devil's advocate moment was I did correct people. Like, no, she's not quitting porn. She's still doing porn. Like, go follow her on Twitter. She's still posting like her shit there. And two, while I don't agree with the reaction, like I wouldn't take part of it or like condone it. I do see why it's happening and why it's still happening. Honestly, the only reason it kind of died down is because the group has kind of died down. They had a single, like, I think in November. I want to say sometime the tail end of last year. They might have had one since then, but they had a single definitely tail end of last year, and it released. It didn't really go anywhere, but it released and did okay. So, and Yua Mikami also, like, the part I feel bad for is that this is like a legit like labor of love. She's doing this for like fun, and she's like self-funding it. Like, I'm pretty sure that she's like losing money in this venture.
Well, now here's the idea for you and Mikami. She could actually, because on the flip side of things, if she went to the USA instead of Korea, because I mean she's a K-pop fan, like we don't really shame like porn stars that want to get into music here in the United States. It's just the music itself that, you know, has to kind of get over.
Yeah.
You know, so if your music's like not to American taste, you know, because like it's pretty regular for rappers and stars to hang out with each other on a regular basis on this side of the ocean. So like if you're a porn star in the United States, you probably hang out with rappers all the time, and you're just like, hey, what's up? Probably see you at Sam's Hofbrau in down LA. What's up?
I know. It's like go hang out at the well, like when this is all done, not right now. But go hang out at the Rainbow, like the bar and grill, and like probably hang out with Ron Jeremy and whatever like porn stars he brought with him that night or whatever.
Yeah, it's just
because Ron Jeremy's there a lot at the Rainbow. So
Ron Jeremy's a really good rapper. He had a hit song in like '95. Of the week or something like that.
I've actually met Ron Jeremy several times. He's an interesting person. He's a cool person. I'm not saying he's like bad, but he's an interesting person. I remember one time. Oh, this is way off topic, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyway. Yeah. One time I went
to hang out with Ron Jeremy.
Oh God! One time I went to
I know him too. Like my brother went to the Grammy pre-show with
my Molly, one of our friends who like they dated Jay Molly, she had a movie. She's an actress. She was in a movie called BC Butcher, and she went to. I went to go see the premiere they had at the Egyptian, and he was there because he's friends of you know the producers and the directors and everything. So he's there. Ron Jeremy is, and when the movie lets out and he gets out of the movie and whatever, I'm just hanging out with some friends talking. And like he gets in his car, it's like I don't know, like someone's driving him. It's not like when I say he has a driver, it's not in a crazy expensive situation, but someone's driving him. I don't think it's an Uber, but somebody's driving him, and they literally leave, go across the street, and he picks up a prostitute, and then like gets her in the car, and they drive away. And I don't know if he was, and it was clearly a prostitute. Like I'm not shaming either of them, but I don't know if he was just picking up a prostitute to like actually have business with her, or if he was picking her up to just hang with her and chill with her. Because honestly, it looked like that. Because he was like,
old work buddies.
No, he was like talking to her. He was like talking to her, and like, you know, like it looked like it didn't look like they were having a business transaction. It was more like you saw a lot of hand movements and a lot of like, you know. So I'm like, so but it was just funny because he clearly picked up a prostitute, but I swore it was a wholesome way, and he was just.
Manuel, I know what he did. I know what he did with her. They're making reggae music.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh my God.
That's how I know Ron Jeremy.
Slimeline Robot.
My brother's friends who make reggae music, like my brother's friend who was his neighbor, like they would be like roadies for reggae rock bands. So I'm like, oh yeah, they're probably just making a reggae album. So.
Oh man, so Slimeline Robot.
So it's not that big of a thing.
He's in the chat.
Sorry,
and he's probably he's probably all hearing us talk about Ron Jeremy. Like, what did I walk into? It's fine for those. You don't worry either, Matt. Like, this is actually we're actually having a good time. It's a nice chill podcast. Usually we have more deviations anyway. This is actually, believe it or not, for those watching, this is probably our most on topic podcast. Usually I
got the list.
And usually I would have stopped and told more than one Ron Jeremy-esque story. I would have been like, I would have had a story for everything and would have stopped like the podcast like 5 times with it. But moving back to Jurina, we'll leave you and Mikami alone too. That support you and Mikami. I'll have a link to her YouTube channel where she does dance covers and other stuff. I'll have a link to her channel description. But
she seems like a pretty cool gal.
I would love to meet her one day, and that's not a lewd way. I mean, I would love to meet her one day, legit.
Well, because have you watched the show Real Love on Netflix?
No.
There's 2 people on that. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay, yeah, let's move on.
So AEW, there's a now with AEW going on, they're actually the wrestling company that still has really good shows, even though there's a pandemic going on. So what they do on the AEW episodes is that they have other wrestlers that work that night in the audience instead of having audience. So, but once this pandemic's over, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was turning off my light. Go ahead.
So once this pandemic's over, Jurina, because she's going to graduate around the time the pandemic ends, October. Yeah. I'm thinking she is when she graduates. So she could make her appearance, like maybe an episode or 2 of AEW Dynamite. It's like there used to be rumors that her and Kenny Omega were going out, and Kenny Omega is one of the executive vice presidents of AEW.
Oh yeah.
And he speaks fluent Japanese, and he has a lot of people on that show that, you know, their first champion, Riho, she's Japanese, and probably their third champion is also going to be Japanese. And she actually wrestled the current women's champion of AEW.
Oh yeah, that was it's funny because I was asking, and I guess Jasmine's not showing up obviously because she would have shown up by now, but I was talking to Jasmine about Jurina's wrestling career, and she's like, what do you mean wrestling career? You mean that time she wrestled and like the you know, we were watching the match together doing something else, but yeah.
She wrestled Nyla Rose from AEW. She's the current AEW women's champion. And Jurina wrestled her on Tofu Wrestling.
Yeah.
She put her in Texas Cloverleaf. She used the Texas Cloverleaf on Nyla Rose. So we think about like Jurina being weak, but she's got Nyla Rose in the Cloverleaf. And when you put somebody in the Texas Cloverleaf, you have to use a lot of your bicep muscles just to do that. It's a really tough hold to put on people.
I don't think I've ever told anyone this story. This is actually related because we talked about Texas Cloverleaf. I've never told anyone this story. When I was really young, I was really into wrestling, and I was a lot. I'm kind of a big guy. I was a lot smaller, a lot more fit back then when I was younger. I was more of like just built big, you know. I wasn't like just big. But anyway, my point to telling you this story is we used to always like me and my friends used to always like wrestle, like when I was like in junior high or middle school or whatever. We'd always play wrestle. I don't know if you ever did that. And like by play wrestle, I mean like we would probably hurt ourselves and like, you know, really wrestle. And one time a friend of mine got me in the Texas Cloverleaf, and which I believe isn't that also the sharpshooter? Isn't that like the same move?
No, it's different because you don't put your foot through. Instead, you've got your feet on each side, and then you have like two legs.
When it was the Texas Cloverleaf anyway, I just had another deviation in my head. I'm like, isn't that also the sharpshooter? But anyways, yeah, you're right. There was no foot through.
Similar to the sharpshooter, but you don't put your legs through their legs.
So one of my friends did that. I don't even remember who the friend was. I don't remember his name. It was somebody I never really talked to after junior high. He did that to me, and I'll never forget. My entire like spine, and he did it good, by the way. My entire like spine from like my butt all the way to like the top of my neck, like cracked in like the most like extreme like chiropractic moment I probably ever had in my life, and it hurt like fuck, and it felt great afterwards. And
yeah, because it's the air in your bones being released.
Yeah, and TLDR, like every so often, whenever like I have back troubles or like my back's kind of like hurt, even right now because I was kind of noticing I've been like stretching a lot because I'm actually just tired now because I'm like in pain discomfort, but I've been stretching a lot. But every so often I look back on back pain and I'm like, I want someone to do the Texas Cloverleaf on me again so my back can like shatter like a glow stick. No joke. I've never told anyone this story, even though I used to wrestle like my friends like at home.
Both Tanahashi and Nick Aldis use that move as their finisher.
Oh,
Tanahashi
man.
And so
oh look, Slimeline Robot. He just finished watching Dynamite right now.
Yeah, the new episode. Don't spoil it for me. Who knows, Jurina? Because what I was thinking is that like hoping like either SKE, Eyes One, or Jurina could appear on a Dynamite episode.
Well, yeah, we've been talking about that for a while. We mentioned that last time you were on, and I'm still hoping that happens.
But here's the funny thing. Here's another reason why I want that to happen. So Jim Cornette, he's a former wrestling manager, and he's done just about everything in the wrestling industry. He's the biggest critic of Kenny Omega. Like, he hates Kenny Omega's guts.
Yeah.
So the ultimate way for Kenny Omega to mock Jim Cornette, because Jim Cornette also hates dance routines in wrestling. He hates anything with dancing or people laughing or in wrestling. So the most awesome thing to mock Jim Cornette is if AKB48 and all the wrestlers on AEW do a dance routine together in the ring. just to piss him off. And then like you know, and it's because Jurina and Kenny are pretty close, and Jim Cornette hates Kenny Omega. That's like the ultimate way to like for Kenny to kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Like really mock Jim Cornette and like have that crossover J-pop audience with AEW, like at the same time with just one activity. And he's the executive vice president, so he could just ask her to show up, and she can. There's no Vince McMahon. There's no, you know, the music rights, they could afford it because it's funded by a billionaire. So
Oh yeah.
like,
So oil
like
pack billionaires, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, the Khan family, like the Khan family could have AKB48 song rights
Yeah.
easily.
I mean, even if not, I'm pretty sure there's some wrangling they could do for an original song. Just fund an original song might be even better. But yeah,
Yeah, they could hire a producer just like that. You
yeah.
know.
They can even get Aki-P. For those who don't know, Aki-P is not actually associated with AKB48 directly anymore. He still writes all their lyrics, but he produces other groups. Like he produces Equal Love and like Not Equal Me and 20 Nanabu no not fuck. How do you say that name? 22/7. That one group that has that the idol that everyone loves to speak English, but like she's from the U.S. But But yeah, I would love to see Jurina. Like, it's funny because once again, not to go back to this, I don't
Do you
know.
think Jurina could do music in the USA? I don't know how much English she knows.
That's the thing. Like her English, from what I understand, it's there, but it's not like there. And I'm afraid. But then again, like people accept like K-pop here. There's always been the saying that it just takes a good song to get J-pop in here. You need something that's not quite as bubblegummy, which like a lot of J-pop can be. Not all of it is. It really isn't. But a lot of the stuff that tops the charts in Japan is more bubblegummy than it is in South Korea.
Well, Manuel, like this is the AEW Dynamite's probably like the best platform for J-pop at the moment because of Kenny. Because like you're on American television, and at the same time, you know, you could get like Jurina is like, I don't know what her level of fame is in Japan, but like if she just walks around the street, like does she have crowds like gather around
well,
her?
like Japan's interesting. Like I was kind of like hinting at this earlier. Like there is, of course, like there's more privacy laws in Japan, but there are, of course, like paparazzi and that kind of stuff. There's that everywhere, but there are like better privacy laws, and it's harder like to I don't want to say to stalk someone. But it's harder to like really follow someone around like that. But also, it's a lot more of a culturally, you kind of ignore things. Like everyone kind of like minds their own business. So I think there's a lot of that going on. I've walked down the street and like in Akihabara once with I was there with Tiffany in Japan and Lisa, different Lisa, not Lisa from Blackpink, but Lisa, as in like the themes from, huh?
Oh no, I'm thinking
she does a theme for Demon Slayer, Himetsu no Yaiba. She does a theme for like Sword Art Online. Like she does a lot of anime themes. It's LA.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
So, anyways, she was at Animate, which is like a huge like anime like good store, and she was at Animate, and she was signing like a Sword Art Online bullshit. So she's signing something for a CD. And she walked in off the street. She was there with the producer. She just walked in, went into the window, signed the thing, and started walking outside of on the street again. I think she was like walking on Akihabara, signing like all of her stuff, and everyone ignored her. And I'm like, that's Lisa. It's like, because we've interviewed her before, so I actually tried to get her attention, and like I think her manager was kind of like, no, because it wasn't the same manager that we dealt with, but so he kind of was shoving me off. But I was trying to be like, hey, we interviewed you. We didn't want to like really interrupt her. We were just like, can Tiffany get a picture with you because we're seeing you here again.
So what would Jurina's like? Because what are her chances of her doing acting? Because in other countries.
Oh well, other countries. It goes back to the English thing.
No, but there's also like Korean, because like she picked up some shows. Because with K-pop, they actually have like Park Shin-hye. She appeared on a Taiwanese drama, and they just dubbed her voice of somebody else's. And then they did the same thing with Yonghwa from Cyan Blue. He appeared on either a Chinese or Taiwanese drama. Over with somebody else's, so they could either do that with Jurina, or she could like just do like cameo or a small supporting role, because like she also has her musical, she has her plays, and just general just fame that people kind of like gather around, because she had, I haven't seen all Cash yet, but she has a show that she's a star of just called Death Cash, and I haven't finished watching it yet. I've only like watched the first 2 episodes of it, or the first episode. But like what do you think her chances of appearing in like a Korean drama would be,
Well, like
because
you said, similar. Like maybe she's appearing as herself as a cameo, which gives her the excuse of not like being perfect in whatever she's doing. I totally see that happening.
that's actually what I see soccer doing after Eyes One.
Also, also, by the way, just to jump into the chat a bit, this is obviously from way earlier. I'm still hoping for more talent from Stardom and TJPW, which is Total Japan Pro Wrestling, right? And also, Slimeline Robot mentioned how they stood next to Gumi from Bish at a red light, waiting to cross the street. So yeah, we'll go back to the Stardom thing, but yeah, just to go back, celebrity's a little different in Japan, and then when you're the only one who notices the famous person, you don't want to be the person who's all like, I mean, like I said,
you want to point them out.
I was trying to get Lisa's attention, but I wasn't being rude about it. But that was more like literally saying hi. Like I'm not that big of a fan of Lisa where I'm like losing my shit. I was just like, I'm actually not a fan of Lisa at all. I like her music, but I'm not gonna fangirl over her. I don't care that much. But I was trying to get her.
It's not like because my dad, when he saw Clint Eastwood in a restaurant, he was like, "Hi, Clint." That's all.
That's what I was like. I was trying to get her attention. I was literally trying to just get a picture with Tiffany, because Tiffany was there with me, who did the interview like previously, and I just wanted to get a picture together, like, and I could post it, be like, "Hey, we met up with Lisa in Japan," and that was gonna be probably get us a few likes. Didn't happen, of course, but
if she speaks English, just ask like "Sashtu watoru,"
I was trying to and then we had the bonus of like being foreigners. Well, like Tiffany's Japanese, but she's foreigner as well. But we had the bonus of being foreigners, where I can kind of like start just being mildly rude and get away with it. But yeah, I can totally see her acting. Just jump back to that. Obviously, like you mentioned, she's been in plays. Theater is different in Japan. Theater's everywhere. So of course,
what do you think? Do you think? What do you think of the whole dubbing thing? Like her appearing like in a Taiwan drama or Chinese drama?
Well, that definitely can work in like China or like in Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, whatnot.
Because
that's normal there. Because like a lot of times, like people will like dub some, like you might not even notice why it's dubbed, unless like there are times when like a show might be filmed in like using Mando and Kanto actors, and by the way, the languages are not interchangeable. It's kind of like getting somebody who speaks German and somebody who speaks like French, and the countries may be like relatively near each other, but they're totally unintelligible. It's kind of a horrible example, but still, the point is they're unintelligible to each other. But a lot of times they'll film a movie and they'll be using both languages, and half the times, like, and this works for dramas too, and it might sound weird, but Italian movies used to do this all the time, like Italian horror movies or Italian spaghetti westerns. They're speaking different languages on set, and then they just fix it in post. When they get to post, they just dub it in one language. It's either all Mando, all Kanto, and then they fix it there. So I think that only exists in China where they'll really do that.
It's happening.
Oh, what happened? You froze. Stop your camera. Start it again. Your camera froze.
The glitchiness.
You kind of unfroze.
You froze.
Oh. There it goes. We're back. Oh. I think it's you, actually. No offense, but I think it's you, because I hear you fine. I don't know. Maybe people are watching. Play the Gaijin card. Yep, exactly. I just saw the. Anyways, but yeah. So I don't see that happening outside of China, if that were to happen.
I'll tell you this. This actually did happen once. There's a film by the director Kim Ki-duk, and it was basically a film. I think it was called Dream. And basically, one character, it's a Japanese guy. He's doing all of his dialogue in Japanese, but everybody else is speaking to him in Korean, and they're all understanding him, but nobody's like paying any attention to him at all. It's kind of like it's a crazy concept because apparently like they're in a dream, and no spoiler because everybody kind of already knows, because it's the experience of the movie is why you have to watch it. Both the characters take their own lives, and because they're both sleepless, and it's a very confusing dreamlike world or something like that. It's a very art house film. And I'm trying to find somewhere to watch it, but it's called I think it's called Dream or something like that. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, he's speaking Japanese and everyone is speaking Korean around him. So who knows? They might, that's like another possibility. There is Jurina's theater career. I think she's doing. Is it Romeo and Juliet?
Oh yeah.
Or is it,
The thing about the theater that, well, first of all, like, I think that she did do Romeo and Juliet, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing about theater in Japan is that it's like always there. There's a huge theater culture, which I was kind of hinting at earlier. I don't think that exists anywhere else, and I don't think that really is ever anyone's career unless you're like a Takarazuka actor or something like that. You kind of just do that in between your other. It's part of being like a talent or part of being like a performer and so on.
like one of the next girl who's going to become the champion, the women's champion for AEW? She's also Japanese. She's also a singer. Her name is Hikaru Shida. She's also a cosplayer. I think you'd really like her a lot. And she's also a theater actress as well. So she both concurrently films a play in Japan, but she also wrestles in AEW at the same time. So she does like both simultaneously. So yeah, that, like you said, it's like some people it's like a halftime thing. But like Legends of, my favorite anime, Legends of Galactic Heroes, there's a musical theater version of it, and I'm like dying to watch that still. you heard you
Yeah,
you've heard
I actually, the look I did was I was actually like, I think I've seen, well, I've definitely seen parts of it. I don't know if I've seen like a sub version. I actually, when I went to Japan, it was actually my dream to. I went to Japan several times, but I went the last time. I wanted to see a theater show, and I just couldn't because of scheduling. But I remember while I was there, like Sister Act was playing, and I think there's tons of theaters. Not saying like that was the only thing playing in Japan, but Sister Act was playing. What was the other one? Fuck, I forgot the name of it. Doesn't matter. There was a couple of the big name shows, but they're the Japanese versions, and I was like, oh my god, I want to see all these. And of course, there was a Takarazuka theater. I forgot that's what they were playing at the time. They were playing a show, and I don't know. One of these days, I'm gonna go to the theater show. Theater is a lot more prevalent in Japan. I don't know why it is. Live theater, by the way. But I love it because I actually like theater in general. I love going to theater here. RIP, all the shows I was going to obviously have postponed because of the outbreak, but that's kind of part of the course.
That's why it's a good time to get fluent in Japanese so you can enjoy your Japanese musical theater live in person. Because there's no subtitles when you go watch a theater live.
Himari from Necroma has been in what show? Makai? Kihidok? I don't know which title.
Makai, yeah. He knows what. Yeah, Hikaru Shida. Yeah, it's called Makai. That's her musical theater play in Japan.
Oh, okay. I forgot what show. I forgot you were talking about. I thought you were talking about the show I was talking about. I'm like, wait, she was in Sister Act? I was confused for a second.
No,
yeah.
It wasn't. But yeah, Hikaru Shida.
But yeah, that Makai, yeah, that's the name of the show.
She would be a tag team partner for Jurina if Jurina comes to AEW.
Honestly, like I want her to come to AEW. We've been suspecting that, you and I, since AEW was being announced. Before there was before Dynamite was even a show.
She can come whenever she wants because there's no thing that says
the similar thing like you were mentioning earlier. I don't think we're going to see it until after October, which is fine because we're probably not going to. I mean, we'll be out of this, God hoping, before October, but we won't be out of this for a while anyway.
Okay, so Jurina and Stardom. What do you do you know about Stardom? The promotion. They're probably one of the most popular all girls.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, honestly, I know of them definitely because it's not. I think I told you before. Like, we've been trying to get more into wrestling in A to G in general. There's all these things we want to get into. A lot of it's just me, to be honest, because I've been trying to find people to talk about it. But
did you guys talk about Terrace House at all? Like, have you guys talked about Terrace House?
I actually don't watch Terrace House. Almost everyone else I know does. I don't watch Terrace House at all, though. Terrace House.
Hana Kimura.
Yeah.
Hana Kimura. She's one of the more popular wrestlers on Stardom, and she was on Terrace House. So, and she speaks fluent English too. Hana Kimura.
Oh.
And she's she's the one. If you want to look her up, it's like pink hair, and she's half Japanese, half Indonesian, and I wouldn't be surprised if I saw her on AEW. So she would be great for that cross for to get of people who watch Japanese reality shows and also watch Netflix and also watch wrestling. It could be like once again, this is like different crossover strategies that
Yeah.
you're thinking of. Jurina and Hana Kimura. You guys, if you AEW people are watching,
Honestly, I think it all boils down to I think AEW has not capitalized on some of the opportunities they could have had. Especially, I mean, they're doing good, they're doing amazing, but like they can really differentiate themselves from WWE right now, and in many ways,
WWE ignores J-pop and K-pop. They could get those audiences like
yeah.
that.
Um, but yeah, I definitely am. I try to watch WrestleMania with everyone else recently. And I try to. I thought that would be my moment. For those who don't know, like I'm not the biggest fan of wrestling, but I've been trying to get more into wrestling again, like last year. But I still couldn't get into WWE, and I decided WrestleMania will be my jumping in point back to WWE. And I was like, "Oh man, this is terrible! Like I picked a bad point. I picked a horrible time."
They were trolling. I think they were trolling.
Yeah, I picked a horrible time to jump into wrestling, like to not to wrestling, but to jump back into WWE. I'm like, this is the worst like point for me to jump into it.
You should listen to Cornette's review of WrestleMania. He says it's like an acid trip, like or something like that. It's a bit.
Hana Kimura. But yeah,
Hana Kimura is like, I don't know if she sings, because I know a lot of the girls in Stardom also sing. So, but like I gotta probably watch more of that. Let's see. Well, what else? Because
she ain't got the in-ring ability. They won't bring her, to be honest.
Well, then again, Brandy doesn't have a whole lot of in.
Yeah, I was actually about to
guys and girls on AEW that don't have that much in-ring ability that are on AEW.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always got the vibe that AEW would just kind of. I mean, not to say that they're only like style over substance, but like they have a bit. Some of the wrestlers have a bit more of the style over substance kind of aspect going on, where a lot of them are more personality, a lot more like quirkiness, for lack of a better. I'm not good with words. Excuse me. Like I mentioned earlier, I just woke up before the podcast began. I'm getting into it finally, but like I can't. I don't know the words. But they have a bit more of the personality as opposed to not. I mean, they can wrestle, but they may not be the best top tier talent.
Because you could be like an indie wrestler with like little to no experience and appear on. So like Jurina would be more of a plus than a minus. So here's one we didn't cover yet because we're talking about her releasing music in the USA. Here's one that.
Oh, Jurina. He's talking about Jurina about not having wrestling experience. I mean wrestling skill.
No, in American music, what do you think of her joining a girl group in the United States?
Never happened. And I didn't finish my topic early. I mean, I didn't finish my points earlier, but I don't think, unless she releases something, maybe, this sounds really stupid, but if she did Korean music in Korea, that could probably be released here. Maybe that'll be a hit. Maybe she can get a really good track in Japanese and release it here, like in a similar fashion, and that could be a hit. A song in English would just never work. Her joining a group in English would never work. You could fight me on that, but I feel like that guy with the thing. It's like Jurina in English will never work. Change my mind,
Well, okay, so here's the. So
apparently the argument. Well, to be honest, like I'll admit, just jump because it's an AW that he thinks they're the opposite, as in like style over substance. You might have a better aspect than me, and I'll be real. I've been actually watching a lot of like old wrestling programs a lot lately. So I have a WWE subscription thingy now, so I watch like old tape matches or whatever. And
you should get a New Japan World subscription because I'm thinking of getting that.
Well, I've been trying to just dive back into it. Like I said, I haven't really been into it for years. So my point to bringing it up is, I'll be real. Also, what might look technically good to most people as being technically good, I might just like the flashy stuff. I might be. My point is, I'm not an expert in this, so I might be getting my.
You don't have to be.
Yeah, I might be getting my shit wrong. So I apologize if.
What you like.
Yeah, I've always mentioned before, like I've always thought of myself as the proverbial jack of all trades. Like I like a lot of things, but I never fully dive into a lot of things. I feel like I'm one of those people who's like a level 1 character in every class, or more like a level 2. I'm like a level 2 character in every class, but this could be somebody who's all like way like is more skilled in a certain thing than I am. And yes, I just made the nerdiest D&D reference ever. But go ahead.
It's what gives you the ability for mass media. But the one thing I think that's going to decide how well Jurina does is how well Takeuchi Miyu does, because she's already announced to be in I forgot what label she signed to. I think it's Slim, or it might be something else. Or Mystic. Was it? It's one of those two. You know, Takeuchi Miyu was on Produce 48. She's a really good.
Yeah, I know she is, but I didn't know she signed on to it. Oh, she did. You're right. But nothing came of that. She signed into a label like not that long after Produce 48, right? She left.
Yeah, right away.
But that's been like over a year, and nothing's come of it really.
Yeah, because she's still either training, they're still recruiting girls, or she's still writing, because she could play piano and sing. So I think that's the other worry if Jurina gets signed to a Korean label and then they just throw her in the dungeon.
No, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, that's a very good point. And we probably should start wrapping it up after this. But I think this is a very good point. I want to circle around to it. I want to close all the topics off we have before we wrap it up, though. But I do want to. The last full topic I think we'll cover is that. It'll be fast. So let me put this.
Because and it's kind of jury they put her out right away. Juri Takahashi. I keep forgetting what her last. Juri Takahashi, right? Yeah. Takahashi Juri, yeah.
Well, we're definitely gonna have you on again, and we gotta schedule a little better so we can have either Kanara or Jasmine or somebody, another idol person on. So we do, not so much that we're not knowledgeable, so we can just have a third person on. But because I feel like this topic.
Rocket Punch song, right?
Yeah.
So it could be. It might not be like Rocket Punch, but it might be like a solo type thing. It could be solo, but the Rocket Punch thing, it could be like Jurina, Rocket Punch with Jurina instead of Juri.
But real fast, Produce 48 1 year later, because mind you, it's way more than 1 year, but it's worth noting that around when we did this podcast, it was a similar podcast. We did it like about a year ago. Produce 48 had just kind of happened a few months before it, and we were in that period where a lot of people were jumping ship to join a Korean company, but nothing has really come of like you mentioned, Rocket Punch and so on, but nothing's really come of like a lot of these groups, like a lot of these girls who have left, and the mass exodus that everyone was saying was going to happen, like when Juri left, when Miyu left, that's the one I'm thinking about. When she left, everyone thought like all these girls are gonna jump ship. They have a better chance of South Korea. Pretty much nobody else left.
I think the girls are getting worried about getting thrown in the dungeon, pretty much, where they just leave you in limbo, pretty much. But okay, here.
Spider-Man did a great job.
Last question for you, Manuel. One last question is, what do you hope will happen with Jurina? And I'll tell you what I'm hoping for. I hope she'll put out music either solo or with a group in Korea, and we'll do AEW simultaneously after
that. No, thank you for saying that. No, I was going to say that. That was exactly what That's my honest best case scenario, and that's what I would like to see. Her doing music in South Korea, either in Korean, of course, and then maybe she could parlay that newfound solo-ness into some sort of career in the US, including AEW, which I still say should happen. I swore that was going to happen last year.
It's the best platform. I'd say it's probably one of the best platforms for her because, if Jurina wants to get on if Jurina wants to get on any other American TV show, she doesn't really have an in like she does because she's friends with Kenny Omega and the Bucks.
Exactly.
But she doesn't have friends on MTV. I don't know what friends she has on MTV.
Well, the thing is with her AEW connection is that it works both ways. Obviously, we've been kind of tackling this with like, oh, she can go on because she's friends with Kenny Omega, but it works the other way as well. Like, obviously not just AEW, but WWE's been tackling a lot of the because the New Japan Pro Wrestling, all the Japanese like wrestling labels, the bad term, but all the stables or whatever the term we would use, they've been they've seen a crazy not resurgence, but they've seen a crazy surge in popularity in the West, and obviously WWE has capitalized on it as well. But AEW had a much better position to bring in a lot more of of the people who might not be wrestling fans, but might be fans of there's no other way to put this, but Japanese things, to bring in the weed crowd, to bring in
they have Fighter Fest, and that's like a video game.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been I'm they have all these opportunities, and it's just one of the really big ones that they have, and I'm just so surprised they haven't tackled it. But then again, they might be trying. There might be things behind the scenes that we don't know about.
It might already be in the works.
Exactly.
At a certain date, because AEW signed Jake Hager like 4 months before he debuted, and they were just saving him for the first episode of Dynamite. They didn't want to show Jake Hager until then, so they might be saving. They might have already secured the contract with, and she could appear on either the next pay-per-view or the next Dynamite.
Like you said, maybe do some sort of exhibition-y type match. I doubt she'll be on every card or become a regular. But being a color commentator would be awesome if that were to happen. Or she could kind of become just the ambassador to bring it kind of more Japanese presence. Because that kind of happens within the NBA or other sports agencies where they have a J-poppy ambassador. I remember Holo Project did a bunch of that a couple years back. Do something like that. I don't know. I'm throwing out ideas.
Okay.
And we'll close it with that, but go ahead and make some points. Or
here's my scenario.
Yeah.
Here's my dream scenario real quickly. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
you're good. It froze.
It froze for a sec. Oh, I think I'm just not moving. Sorry. You're good.
Okay. So here's my Jurina scenario for AEW Dynamite. So Hikaru Shida, the we talked about earlier, who's also a music theater actress and a singer, she's set to win the title pretty soon, probably at the next pay-per-view, because she's currently the number 1 contender. Hikaru Shida said, okay, she wins the title, she wins the women's title, and then one to present the title to her will be Jurina. She'll come out with the belt, and they'll do a duet together, a song, and then they get attacked by the Heat girl, either Nyla Rose or Chris Statlander or Britt Baker. Somebody's gonna attack Jurina and Hikaru Shida, and then they're gonna start a feud. And then Jurina could be either the manager or Shida, or her tag team. One of those two things. And then she could do guest commentary.
I love how you have this really awesome scenario, which I would love to see. I don't know, just throw your pitch in to write for AEW and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm available to be a booker. Guys.
I know, I was supposed to say throw your pitch in, go become the new head writer. We'll close with that, because that would be a lovely one.
Jurina could have her debut on Music Bank on Music Bank or M Countdown in Korea. So she'll have her debut stage on M Countdown, and to introduce her on the stage will be Kenny Omega.
Oh my god, I like that.
And Kenny Omega will, because there's a lot of American fans of K-pop in Korea, so Kenny Omega could just do it in English, and he could just say a few words in Korean, and it will be Kenny Omega on an episode of Countdown. So it could be like that. So that could be the scenario. What could happen?
That's
so
crazy.
We could have our K-pop once again. Like I said last time, we could have our K-pop, wrestling, and our J-pop all rolled in one. World. Thanks, because Jurina is that center linchpin to it all.
Never gonna happen. No, for the record, Slam That Robot's never gonna happen. For the record, I do kind of agree, and I'm pretty sure Matt kind of agrees too. That's never gonna happen. It would love it to happen, but we're talking dream scenarios here. We're talking if we're not talking about what's gonna happen on the next pay-per-view. Well, he did say that, but we're talking about a dream scenario. I would love.
So what's
realistically, what'll probably happen is she'll just do a walkout. She'll cut a promo. Maybe, like I said, maybe do a match, but more than likely just appear. Maybe do a performance.
Yeah, she'll come in she'll hit the heel over the head with a chair.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe DDT her through the chair. And then
I love how you had to add these extra details, which I'm not sure. The more details you add, the less likely they're gonna happen. But who knows?
Yeah, because I know the spots. Because I know the Jurina knows how to do. She might either do the Rainmaker, which is like a clothesline, or she'll do the Destino, which is like a reverse DDT. She knows. I've seen her do those two moves too. So, or she might put Nyla Rose in the Texas Cloverleaf again. as a
Oh
callback
man,
to wrestling.
somebody put me in Texas Cloverleaf as a callback to the time my back felt great. But we'll wrap it up.
She's gonna remember. She's gonna be listening to this as like,
Yeah.
hey, Manuel.
I'll put you in Texas Cloverleaf. Like, oh my god, yes, my back. But no, we'll wrap it up there because we're about to hit the 2 hour mark, which is amazing. Because I was talking to Matt, like I didn't think that we were gonna like fill up this time. I thought we were gonna fill up like I think I even told you like we're gonna do it easy, like 75 minutes. You froze, by the way. We didn't. Oh, there you go. You came back. We do an easy 75 minutes, and then somehow we filled up 2 hours. I didn't think we'd do it, but
Yeah, because we got a lot to talk. Because I know we could definitely.
Well, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay. Now the reason we talk so much about Jurina, because I told you earlier, I told everyone earlier, this was supposed to be this was supposed to be a Jurina podcast. That was actually its thing. And then as we started watching more of that, then the first half became all the C-pop, the Mando pop stuff, because that's been popping up like crazy. We got to cover all this shit again. There's so much we didn't cover.
Well, Youth with You is a current show right now. So
everyone watch that.
Airing. It hasn't had the finale yet.
No, it hasn't.
Manuel, quick question: do you want to shoot another episode after the finale?
For sure. Like we're definitely gonna do that no matter what. And we if we do a Youth for You special, which I want to do, we'll do it with my friend Callie, who's been on the podcast before, because she's a huge Youth for You fan, and we've never talked about it on the podcast. We talked about it personally, her and I, but we've never talked about it on the podcast because
the Youth for You finale special will be really good.
Yeah.
I think. Because I don't know what other podcasts are talking about that show right now. Because when I was actually listening to another podcast for Produce 48, and it was only you and that other podcast. That was
fun fact. Like we're wrapping up soon, I promise. But like when we were covering the Produce 48 thing week by week, people would come into our comments, and this is actually why I started like putting our topics in the description. I used to put timestamps back then. After a while, people would come in our comments and timestamp them for us. They're like, Produce 48 talk begins here, and then I put that mark at the top, and but people.
So we could timestamp this with Jurina talk begins here.
And I'll put some timestamps in the description. Don't worry. Well, if you're at the end, you already saw them or didn't. But I put them in the description. Trust me. But we'll wrap it up there. Thank you, Frog. Thank you, Matt. Spider-Man was there in the bottom corner. I didn't make the joke, but somebody mentioned it. The Slimeline Robot mentioned in the chat, like, hey, leave Spider-Man alone. Did a good job for the third host. Everybody gets one. That's Spider-Man's thing. And I'm like, he'll save the show. And that was why he's at the bottom. And that's a sort of meme from a YouTuber I love named Call Me Kevin. So follow him too, I guess. I'll put a link to his channel. Totally off topic.
But yeah, because Daybach Cast was the other one that was covering Produce 48. There was the only other one.
Yeah.
It was just truly Daybach, and that was it.
So everyone,
you might be the only ones covering Youth with You in English, because I know definitely.
Oh, of course.
Definitely podcasts in China talking about who else is talking about it in English. So.
Wait, I know we're done, but if you could find me later on, Slime Line Robot, I didn't know Up Girls had a wrestling division. Somebody tell me about that. I didn't know about that. But of course, everyone knows about Maki Ito being the not only a wrestler, but like the idol wrestler who like has a hilarious Twitter. I'll have a link to follow her. Hopefully, you already follow her. She's amazing. She goes viral.
I'll plug my Twitch channel too.
Oh yeah, you have a Twitch channel. Go ahead.
Yeah, twitch.tv/123mgc.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm regularly uploading my own content now. It's like me doing mukbang and playing musical instruments. Enjoy.
Yep, and there you go.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up now. Say bye, Frog.
Wrap
bye.
It up. Well, like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Frog Rock. Thank you, Spider-Man. If you want to support us, patreon.com/JConnection. Shout out to Ed and Kenneth, the current patrons. Good night. Bye, take care of yourself. Peace out. Tell me about Up Girls Wrestling, Slimeline Robot in a DM on Twitter or something, Elenvic_222. Peace out. Good night. Talk to y'all later.